like to respond to a couple of questions that were posed to me concerning my influences based on and beyond Anton LaVey and Aleister Crowley. I'd like to say that they go on quite a bit from that. I was about 11, 12, and 13 when I really got into Anton LaVey's works. And they presented a foundation, but the thing was I already had that kind of in me, that outlook that I had kind of agreed with that. And I performed numerous rituals based on those in foundation. I went on to Aleister Crowley years later and some other satanic elements beyond Crowley. And I really wasn't satisfied with any of it. And there came a time where I started to work through different magical avenues, learning different right-hand path techniques. And once you have those right-hand path techniques, how do you apply them to a left-hand path perspective? And that led me to start to study foundations, mythology, and ancient religions. And in doing that, that kind of formed a lot of the practice that became the Luciferian path as it is, presented in the books. And it started with really breaking down concepts and practices, and how do you use those in a modern interpretation? What are the common denominators between the adversary throughout history, and what role does it perform in those avenues? Once you determine that, I found that the adversary is actually a creative, powerful force, and it's not this all-great destroyer. The destructive element is needed and necessary in terms of recycling life and creating new life. So there's really a balance, and you destroy that whole concept of the light, darkness, good versus evil, because there is no total good, and there definitely is no evil. I mean, these things kind of go hand in hand, and they blend. And depending on morals and different concepts, they can be interchanged. So it's important to know that. Then specifically, I moved on and even deeper into different research materials, and I've spent a lot of time, more time, reading non-magical practice manuals and more historical and mythological documents, and studying different documents from different colleges and things like that were very important to me. And I had a lot of different access to avenues in those areas. In doing that, it changed my whole perception. And then I took those things, stripped them down, and then applied them in a modern context and how those relate to me. When I did that, and I applied what I perceived as proactive in those things, or creative, the results I got were amazing. And it only reaffirmed how deeply magic is connected to the self, and how no matter how your approach is, you can create results. I tried it as first as an atheistic approach, meaning there's nothing outside of myself. And when I did that, I obtained results, and then I started to develop a spirituality from that. And the spirituality is that I had experiences with things that I perceive outside of myself. But I still had that foundation, so it only added to my inner spirituality and my religious faith. And the faith is only in myself and what comes and what I experience through me. It's not something outside or some dream of an afterlife. So that's why I've always been able to look at atheists and theistic Luciferians or Satanists or what have you in a productive light, because both outlooks can yield results. And no one person can say this is it, and that's what you have to believe. You can adapt it accordingly. In doing research, you really go beyond what is commonly perceived, and you have to go a lot deeper into different things. And Zoroastrianism, I took the basic rites from the Avesta, the Descartes doctrines, and I really applied those. How can these things be initiatory positives, and how can you create from them? And to do that, you have to really dive yourself into those things. So I did, and that's why I created totems and different vessels to manifest that through art and music and so forth. That's the other thing. And then I took the Avestan rituals of the Zoroastrians, and I learned, why do they do these specific things? And if I apply those to now, what results will happen? So, you know, when I did that, the results were equally as powerful. However, I took the gathas, or the prayers, and I changed them to invoke the infernal or adversarial spirit. In doing that, you have a totality of powerful encouragement. And Ahriman is not just a dark bringer or a spirit of darkness. It actually balances into light and perception. So you don't need angels, demons, all these different things. Those are various elements that can be considered useful in some aspects of sorcery or focus points, but you know, it creates this wholeness within yourself, and it's empowered by you. It's not something outside of yourself, so you never supplicate to it. Any offerings you make are offerings to yourself and your faith and what you've come to believe through your experience and your relation to it. So those elements are very, very important. And when you take right-hand path techniques and you change them to work in a left-hand path way, it is powerful for you. And that's why I always suggest to people, when you look into magic, you need to look into history, mythology, and look at those different elements. Don't just take a book and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Be skeptical, look and research, and then adapt it accordingly. And when you do that, you're going to get really, really positive results.